Hi, it's your guy once again, Abuaje. We shall continue with our plane geometry, but today we shall go in depth. Up to now we have learned about a point at the smallest geometric figure, that all geometric objects or figures are made up of points. So points are represented by dots. When the points are joined continuously together, we get what is known as a line. A line extends infinitely in both directions. Points are represented using capital letters. When numbers are assigned to each point on the line, we get what's known as a number line. A number line. A line segment. It is a line of which the both ends, the arrows, have been taken off. Example is this. A ray. A ray is just a line with one end of the ray taken, with one end of the arrow taken off. So ray, it has an arrow at one end. That is it. We come to an angle. An angle is a figure formed when two rays meet at a common end and extends indefinitely in their various directions. So angles, as how they are labeled, we shall talk about them. So example of this angle, all angles have two arms. This one arm of it, another arm of it, and also a common point, a common point, and that point is called the vertex, and that is where the angle is. So when we want to name this angle, we shall call it either A, B, C, using the size A, B, C, with the angle being talked about being the middle number or letter. So we are talking about what? B, angle B. Or we can talk about it in this way, CBA, always ensuring that the angle that you are talking about is at the center. We can also use letter to just describe it if it is a singular angle or only an angle formed, or not an angle at what? Various parts, or several angles with a common endpoint. So you can just call it angle B, since it is formed by only two arms. Only two arms. We talk about a plane. It's a flat surface that extends infinitely in two directions. So we can see here, as an example of a plane, like the paper that I'm having, you see that it has a length, the longest part. It has a width, which is how wide it is. Its length, the longest part, and its width, how wide it is. So over here we can see that planes are usually represented using a parallelogram. We need only 3 points to describe a plane, whilst we need 2 points to describe a line, whilst we need 3 points to describe an angle. So over here, this plane, we can call it ABC, ABD, plane ABD, or we can call it ACD or CDA. This part will give us the direction in this form. Let's say if we are using the CDB to describe a plane, we have what? We have this direction, the vertical direction, and the horizontal direction. The vertical direction that goes infinitely, and the vertical direction that goes infinitely, the two dimensions. So a point indicated by what? A dot. When points are joined together, we get a line which extends infinitely with the arrows. Line segment. Line segment, when the arrows are taken off, we get a line segment. A ray is just a line with one of its arrows taken off. That's a ray. Two rays with a common starting point causes an angle to be formed at the starting point, which is the corner, also known as the vertex, the plane, so the dimensions, the which is horizontal direction and the vertical dimension. Horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical. Let's talk about angles. Since we have now come to realize that angles are formed when two rays meet at a common point and extends a common point called the vertex and extends infinitely, we shall relate angles to a clock and the circle. You see how the arms of the clock will be moving, how it has been moving. Just picture it and see how it goes. When we see an angle, it is a figure formed by two rays meeting at a common point. Angles come from the Greek word angulos, which means corner. So when we are talking about angles, we are talking about the corner, the various corner that is formed by what? By the ray. So let's look at it from here. As I was saying, that we will link it to the clock as well as the Cartesian plane, and we see how it goes, as well as also the circle. So angles are measured in two ways, either in the clockwise direction, meaning as how the clock goes in this direction, or in anti-clockwise direction, opposite the way that the clock moves. So by considering it, we can be best to describe the angle by looking at where we start measuring it from. Angles can be measured or are measured from the first quadrant. So when you see the quadrant from the Cartesian plane, the whole plane is divided into what? Into four parts. So you have the first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant. Angles are measured from starting from the first quadrant. That is the starting point. The starting point is also becomes the ending point. So we move in this direction, so that we are moving in the opposite direction of the clock. If the clock is moved, the clock moves in this direction. But when measuring angles, we will start from here, that's the positive x-axis, and moves in this direction, in the opposite direction of the clock. That gives us positive angles. So we have two types of angles. We have positive angles and negative angles. Positive angles are measured in clockwise direction, starting from the first quadrant, that's the positive x-axis. And negative angles are measured in the opposite direction, starting from the positive x-axis. So positive angles are measured in this clockwise direction, and negative angles in this direction. Positive angles are measured in the anti-clockwise direction, whilst negative angles are measured in the clockwise direction. So 90 positive, 90 negative. Let's talk about the various types of angles, the major types of angles. We have acute angle. Let's say we have the major angles are 90, 180, 360. 90, 180, 360. So an angle that is less than 90. An angle that is less than 90 is known as acute angle. An angle that is 90 degrees exactly is known as right angle. An angle that is greater than 90 but less than 180 is known as obtuse angle. So you look at what? The O for 180. So greater than 90 but less than 180. An angle that is equal to 180 is what? A straight line. So all straight lines gives us what? An angle of what? 180 degrees. Reflex angle is an angle that is greater than 180 but less than what? That is greater than what? 180 but less than what? 270 or 360. So reflex greater than 180. An angle that is greater than 180. Full rotation is an angle that is equal to what? 360 degrees or a full what? Circle or a full circle. So always relate angles to circles. Relate angles to circles, and their movement in terms of measurement related to the movement of the clock. positive angles are measured in the clockwise direction. Positive angles are measured in the anti-clockwise direction. Please, in the anti-clockwise direction. In the anti-clockwise direction. In the anti-clockwise direction. So, moving forward and talking about other angles, types of angles. Angle just measures the amount of turn. The amount of turn that we do make, depending on our position. We have adjacent angles. They are two angles with a common arm and vertex. With a common arm. So you see that BAC we have, which is CAB. They all have a common arm of what? Of C. Complementary angles. They are two angles that sum up to 90 degrees. They are two angles that sum up to 90 degrees. Supplementary. They are two angles that sum up to 180 degrees. They are two angles that sum up to 180 degrees. Vertically opposite angles. They are angles that are opposite to each side, like you are crossing things, something like this. So here and here are equal. Here and here are also equal. Angle around the point. Angle around the point will always sum up to 360 degrees. Likewise, vertically opposite angles, since they also form a common point, they also sum up to 360 degrees. 360 degrees. How angles are labeled? Angles are labeled by using two ways, or they are named using two ways. You see from here, you see the arms, this one arm, this one arm, this is the angle, this is the vertex or corner. You can either use the various arms to name the angle, or you can use a smaller letter to name the angle. So angle BAC can be also represented by what? A as the letter, just A. Since it's only what? A common what? A single what? Angle formed and does not connect others like the ones over here. Like the ones over here. So we can have BAD. We can also have a BAC. With this, if you use the common a single letter to represent it, you get it wrong. For this ones, you must what? Name the various what? Arms that form them. The various arms that forms them. So we shall end over here. We shall end over here and continue next time. Thanks for your time.